Hello there my dear friends, and welcome back to yet another very exciting Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we have yet another tease for Ahsoka Season 2. And then afterwards we have some new details for the Maul animated show, Maul Shadow Lord, which was announced at Celebration. You don't want to miss it. Before we dive into it though my dear friends, as always if you've not done so already, please be sure to hit the big subscribe button down below and ring the bell to be alerted every time that I post a new video. But no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight in. We begin with Ahsoka Season 2. We have some more leaked concept art from Star Wars Celebration. Peridea is far more mysterious than you thought. Ahsoka and Sabine are going to have to fight mysterious Sith droids. And we know they're Sith droids because they were taken from unused Clone Wars concepts. They're called Kju Droids, and were originally meant to be located under the temple on Coruscant, having ties back to Korriban. I don't want to speculate too much about this because I don't know the direction Dave Filoni is going to go with it, but Season 2 is going to give us giant droids. I spoke about this briefly in my Celebration trailer breakdown, but this is a clearer look at them. In other Ahsoka news, my friends, in recent videos, I've covered comments made by Ivanna Sakhno and Natasha Liu. So far it's mostly just been breadcrumbs, but today, my friends, we have something super exciting concerning Baylan and Shin, who's basically become one of my favourite Disney Star Wars characters. So once again the source for this update is Ivanna, who just a couple of days ago said she's about to film some more scenes for Shin in London, but now she comments on what it's like seeing the new Baylan on set. How is Rory McCann doing filling Ray Stevenson's shoes? And oh my goodness, were they some big shoes to fill. He portrayed one of the greatest Star Wars villains in years. But apparently Rory is doing a great job too. We got our first glimpse at the new Baylan Skoll at Star Wars Celebration. He definitely has the physique and the facial expressions. But let's see what Ivanna said. She begins with the enormous revelation that Season 2 of the Dave Filoni show is already a quarter of the way done. So they're pretty much done filming the first 2 episodes. Season 2 is going to be 8 episodes just like the first, and the release date is sometime late 2026. Lucasfilm still has to confirm this. I don't think it's going to be sooner than that, because The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out in May of next year, and Lucasfilm wants to spend a chunk of change on the marketing and let the movie breathe. So my prediction is fall or winter of 2026. But now on to the part where Ivanna talks about Rory. She said it was such a great loss when Ray passed, and something Lucasfilm didn't take lightly. She continues, I have such gratitude for Dave Filoni for putting so much time and attention into finding the right person to continue Baylan's story, and Rory couldn't have been a better choice. On set, he is so full of depth, and has such great respect for Baylan and what Ray created, which allows for him to really bring his own into Baylan's shoes. So watching him doing it has been a gift, and of course, we all feel Ray's presence, as well as guidance. So 2 things I gather from this. From what she's saying, the transition of actors isn't jarring. It feels like a natural continuation. And the second takeaway, which I think is an immense positive, is that while Rory on set talks like Baylan, looks like Baylan, he's bringing his own version to the role. And like I once said, the transition of actors would work even better if there was a time jump, because then you can make Rory look a bit more like the Hound, like a broken and wild, disheveled Baylan who's been on Peridea for too long, chasing the mysterious voice, calling out to him. So Rory needs to bring his own iteration, while simultaneously undertaking the very difficult task of carrying on the story of an established character whom many fans love. But in a way it's a very fine line, because as an audience we still need to recognize that this is the same character from Season 1. Recasting a Star Wars character is always a very tall order, but in recent years I would say Lucasfilm has done a pretty good job. The new Bail Organa in Andor Season 2 was fantastic. So Ivanna's comments are a promising sign that McCann is doing justice to Baylan. And if Dave Filoni and Ivanna Sakhno say he's doing a great job, then I believe them. And now that we have a new Baylan, he doesn't need to die in Ahsoka Season 2. Because when Dave Filoni was trying to figure out what to do with Baylan after Ray passed away, that was one of the options. So I'm grateful we have someone as talented as Rory McCann who also knew Ray personally. I know some people have said that doesn't really matter, but I think it does. It means he has an extra incentive to really honour the character and honour his late friend. So that's some very good news for Ahsoka Season 2. In other Star Wars updates, my dear friends, we need to talk about Maul Shadow Lord, the upcoming animated series that was announced at Star Wars Celebration. We assume it's also a 2026 release, by the way. It's set 1 year after the Clone Wars, and the synopsis is this. Maul plots to rebuild his criminal syndicate on a planet untouched by the Empire. And this show, my friends, promises to cover a lot of the events between the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Katie Sackhoff recently alluded to the fact that she did some Star Wars vocal work, so I think Bo-Katan's going to be in this. Furthermore, my friends, the trailer shown at Celebration depicted someone who looks a lot like Darth Talon, so she could be making a first canon introduction. But a character who also featured in the trailer that no one is talking about is Marok from the Ahsoka show, as well as Tales of the Empire, an Inquisitor who was revived during the New Republic. But during this time period, he is presumably still alive. I've seen a few crazy theories about him. Some say that he might have been a clone of Maul. Someone else who I really want to see in this show is Kira. She recently appeared in Star Wars Outlaws, she's appeared in the comics, and maybe now we'll see how she met Darth Maul. And if we do get Kira, my friends, we also get Dryden Voss. After separating from Han, she was recaptured by Proxima, and then sold as a slave to Dryden. That's how she got involved with Crimson Dawn. And fans of Solo: A Star Wars Story have been saying for many years they want to see the return of Kira. We thought we might see her in the Book of Boba Fett, but that didn't happen, so now we might see her earlier in the timeline, this time in animation, which I honestly think is a great idea and could definitely work. We also have another little tidbit for the show. It's being written by Matt McNavet, who once worked on the cancelled game Star Wars 1313. He was the head writer on the Clone Wars Season 6 and 7, two of the best seasons of the entire show, and even co-wrote the story to Jedi Fallen Order. He was also heavily involved in Tales of the Underworld, so he's a Lucasfilm veteran with a specialty for the criminal underworld of the galaxy, and that could open the door to so many possibilities. We might see some familiar bounty hunters, some plot points from the 1313 game could come into this show, and when you have a series like this, which promises to be entirely Maul-centric, you've got Sam Witwer back, you've got some Lucasfilm veterans working on it. I personally think, and this is just my opinion, this series should be primarily for the diehards. It would be amazing and even better if it was live action, but when you're going the animated route, just like the Bad Batch, that is your opportunity to be a bit more niche. I am so pumped for this. The trailer at Celebration also showed some other familiar Inquisitors, so the Empire is fully involved in this. We also see members of Crimson Dawn, and like I said, a mysterious Twi'lek apprentice. It could be the canon version of Darth Talon, but I wouldn't be surprised if they give her a new name, and it's a separate character inspired by Talon. I've also seen fan suggestions that Maul could find out a bit more about Darth Vader. At the end of the Clone Wars Season 7, he was fully aware of Palpatine's grand plan, and he was one of the few who knew about Anakin Skywalker's turn to the dark side. So is he going to go investigating? And while he had quite a lot of screen time in the Clone Wars and Rebels, there are still lots of gaps, like I say for fans of Solo: A Star Wars Story. So hopefully it's a lot of fun. But with that said, my dear friends, share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.